Hey there, so today we have another Darwin's Rants, and this is episode 4000, so I thought I'd devote literally an entire episode, a very special episode number 4000, to one of the most significant parts of my adult life, which is Sanford Brewing Company. Wearing the shirt. Wish I had a glass. Yeah, I probably should have kept some merch, just for sentimentality or whatever. But yeah, one of the most important things to occur in my adult life. Thank you to Stefan, by the way. I still have one of his beers, so cracked his 2017 Bourbon County. Tastes absolutely fantastic. Tastes like chocolate cake with vanilla icing. Has a little bit of age to it, but tastes awesome. So, yeah, I mean, let's just give you a little preface, and then you guys just like dig in the episode. So, this is a job that I got relatively recent after I moved down to Florida. Was there, let's say, actually there for 4.5 years, and then they closed, opened under new ownership. I was there for about 2 months after that, and then new ownership, booted the entire old staff, and it is what it is, blah, blah, blah. But this is a really important episode to think about. Like, again, one of the most important things that happened to my entire life. So my entire life, my adult life. The amount of friends I made, the amount of regulars, I've got stories. I really don't even have that much written down. It's just overwhelming to think about how significant this is. So let's just talk about significance. Like in my adult life, what I went to college. Obviously, I had amazing friends that I still keep in touch with. In New York, I go to a wedding almost every year. Sorry, literally every year now, and can't wait to see them. Just was in New York a few weeks ago. Love my friends, and but yeah, my adult life, went to college, went to law school. Even 3 years of law school, all those awesome people that I met and friends I made, don't really keep in touch with them. Don't keep in touch with them anymore. Then had to struggle getting into industry, and then I moved down here and had 2 kids. And outside having my 2 kids, I don't know what's affected becoming an attorney and or advanced cicerone. This feels more emotional to me and affects me more. So literally, all right, my kids and the things that are milestones in my life. But I feel this job affected my life even more than that. So more important than, again, getting sworn into the bar, New York bar, and become advanced cicerone. And advanced cicerone I did during while I had this job. So just want to preface, yeah, it's that big, all my, how about this? Whatever you want to rate it, within the 3 or 5 fingers I have on this hand, it's one of the most important things that has happened to my entire life. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, being there. Again, this was 4-year anniversary. We almost hit 5. We actually sort of hit 5 because we opened up right then, again under Burlando or whatever. But 4.5 years. It feels 4.5 years was not that long. It is, seems not that long, but it seemed like such a just long part of my life because I guess it's so rich. I don't know. So let's just start from the beginning. So before I moved down, Katie and I were long distance, and she had sent me a growler of Sanford Brewing. She had this new brewery had opened up. She was living in Sanford. And I would visit her, and I was like, oh, this seems like a nice, busy, small-town brew pub. And I enjoyed hanging out in the downtown. She lived in Sanford. She knew the owners. And it just seemed like a cool place. I was like, oh, when I move down, I definitely want to work here. Because, again, volume, busy, small downtown, and a lot of nightlife downtown. If you ever go to Orlando, you guys are sorely missing out if you don't take the trek to Sanford. It is just a fun, small downtown, fun life. It's just like it's not crazy nightlife, but it's a fun place. I don't know. I don't know what it is about the downtown that it has so much going on. It's got 4-5 breweries, a distillery, multiple cocktail bar, beer gardens, it just got so much going on. So I even remember, I mean, it's watching TV right now, when she was literally a couple days old, and some people scared about getting out of the door. We got out the door, literally didn't really do anything, just had to get for some air. And I remember I think I might have ordered a half pint. I just sat there, and she was sleeping because when they're literally days old, they'll sleep for 5 hours at a time. And she got out the door, and yeah, And then had struggles figuring out work after I moved down to Florida. Yeah, moved down to Florida. And I want to say about 6 months. Yeah, but right around 6 months after moving down here, they were opening up another location. Because Sanford Brewing had been opened up already for a few years at that point. So thankfully, I actually still have it on Indeed. On Indeed, when somebody sent you a private message, my first one on Indeed was from him, Jonathan, who now is a friend, who married Allie, who I work with now, great friend. And the message, hey, blah, blah, like, I got hired. I remember training in January. This is now so I moved down in 2019. This is right before COVID. So we're training we're about to open up the place in January 2020. Had a great team. Big team, though. A little too big of a team. But, like, people ask, like, oh, how long have you been at Sanford Brewing? I literally remember, like, the first days where we literally built the tables that people sat at for 4.5 years. And people still sit at now. A few, like, less than 3 miles away from me, right? We opened up, training, and then, like, literally weeks after that, COVID hits, obviously, right? Because, like, we opened up the first week of February. COVID shutdowns happened. They fired the entire staff. Well, fired in the sense that so that we could apply for unemployment, which fuck Florida. Couldn't figure that out at all. But thankfully I had another job at Ellipsis. And actually, when it all came back, because Florida was short on it, I think like they did closures for like 4 months. Or 4 weeks. 4 months, yeah, right. 4 weeks. And then everybody got to go back to work. From what I understand, a lot of people ended up finding other things to do. And I somehow was like one of the last people on that strong to actually keep the job and work at Sanford Brewing because I had another job. So I was, I could have been on the chopping block to get actually like not rehired. But thankfully I was interested and got rehired. So for the first year-ish of that, COVID was a little slow. I was actually one of the people on the lower of the totem pole. We had Nick, who I really need to catch up with. He eventually moved away. He was there with us for a while, for a few years there. Became a CDL driver, and then, or whatever that is, like a truck driver. Him and his wife, they were in like Vegas or Arizona or Nevada or something now. But I think Nevada now. I need to just catch up like about the closure of Sanford Brewing and all that stuff because that happened, obviously within last year. And he was just the like the wild man of the bunch, but awesome people. I love that guy. And then Jordan, close friend now, took the role of assistant manager. Jonathan was my general manager, and so I actually was only working a few days a week because I was working between ellipses. I only had so many shifts, so I worked between that and early on I was actually food running on Fridays, which I was like, what the fuck? Friday's a money day. Did a little bit of that, and then I think eventually they figured out I was too strong of a server to just be food running, right? But you grow with the place, right? And then about a year into it, that's when like it sort of really started getting busy. And a year plus after that, eventually I think Ali took over Jonathan's job as a general manager. He took on director of operations of the entire business of Sanford Brewing, 2 locations. And then Ali took over as our general manager, and worked with great people. Jordan's now wife, Elise, who I work closely with, literally just stopped by her work last week, stopped by their house right afterwards, like close friends. Yeah, my best friend's down here now. And so she probably joined the team like 6 months maybe less than a year after we opened. And then eventually, like, Ellipsis didn't work out enough. That was slow enough, and there's more shifts opening up at Sanford Brewing that I just kept taking on shifts. So I remember Lauren eventually leaving, and I took on her shifts. Dustin came on. How about this? Let's just talk about, like, the people. I don't even know where to start. So I have a picture, and I'll post it on Facebook. I'll post it on Instagram. But there's a picture of my birthday 2 years ago. It's actually almost 3 years ago. My birthday is in a couple months. And these are again, my last 2 birthdays, I hung out with Sanford Brewing people. And that's how important these people were. And pretty much almost all these people were at my birthday last year, but this is a picture from 2 years ago. So Dustin, who joined on, bro, we would talk beer all the time. We've hung out multiple times, all the time after, outside of work. We text about beer and stuff all the time. Like, great friend. We're industry guys, yeah. Dan used to actually be a partner at a now defunct Sanford Brewery of Florida, but OG beer guy. I really need to. He literally texted me like a week or two ago. I'm so busy with work and training and da da da. I need to find a night off. I need to see Dan because he lives pretty close and he's an OG beer guy. Like, we can talk about the randomest OG beers and we can like go on about it. And you've seen him in some Jester King videos that I did with him. Jordan Lease, again, like I work with those people literally 4 to 5 days a week for at least 3 years. Literally, sadly enough, might have seen them more than my kids in the last like 6 years. Like, that's how much I work with them and how much, because they would go to daycare and then I work my job and go to sleep. Like, Leah and Nick, and this is another Nick. So the Nick too, who joined in with the restaurant because I think he used to work with Elise, and he was always a bartender. But this is something to talk about. So we're going to talk about like how well this worked. And he was just, this job requires so much of you. And he was serving he was serving. And I remember it being rough for him. And like, we were just like, oh shit, like, is he going to work out? And I remember him passing on tables early on. Like, it's like, I can only handle so much business. But eventually I remember vividly, it was a year, 9 months, whatever. And he already obviously figured it out by then. But we got destroyed. And we were sitting outside having our shifties, beer after work. And I was like, Nick, could you have done this a year ago? He's like, no. And I just felt the growth. Obviously, like between my management, staff, myself, and, he grew as an employee. And it was awesome to see him like really excel. And then eventually he actually got fired for whatever reasons. And then Leah, his girlfriend, took his position and worked with her for a year or two. And they're in that picture of my birthday. And then last year, Allie and Jonathan were at my birthday. And then Chris, who is a Boston boy, so we're both Northeast guys. And now he's back in Boston. But man, we talked about Tom Brady and the Patriots and football, and we're fantasy guys, and talk about life. And I remember like even just like him being a new employee, spent a lot of hours just chitting chatting. And Megan, who is Elise's friend, who literally has a girl right in between me and Audrey's age. So I literally just went to her place, and she literally lives like a mile away. So the girls just got to hang out together like a week or two ago. And so it's a collection of just people, and that's not even all the people that I know from it. But what made this so special? Let's give you some more good stories. Some of my favorite stories about regulars. I remember like the quote unquote day that we thought we were closing, when it hit, and then we had 5 extra days of like all sales go to employees, cash only. That was amazing. Like, if you guys don't know, that's what happened when we closed. So first off, we closed it like immediately, randomly on like a Thursday at the end of 2024 October, and things were like up, but it didn't really sort of make sense. So like when a place is going to close, I know I'm telling this like really wacky, but when a place is going to close, generally like certain things don't happen, like things don't get ordered, food, wine, blah, blah, blah. We kept ordering stuff for some reason, but then our paychecks wouldn't get paid out, which is weird because like I would still get a cash tip out for my tips. So like I actually got my paycheck, but the kitchen staff wasn't getting their paychecks for like 5 weeks. But eventually, they just closed it on one day, and then I just remember the outcry of like all these people that randomly show up on Thursday, just literally shoving money into our pockets, like, "Hey, you guys taken care of us for a million years. Thank you so much." And then after that, the owner was nice enough to, and I've never heard this in the industry, where all sales for 5 days went directly to the kitchen staff and the people that are working, which was insane. I will never make that much money in my entire life. My kitchen staff will never make that much money in their entire life, and it was a nice buffer for maybe a month-ish, right? Like, but we also lost our jobs and also like stood around trying to wait for it to reopen. So that was rough. But to talk about the regulars, like I'm just thinking about like the greatest story, some like top hits I have. I mean, again, I'm pretty good with names, some eventually, but like I have a list of like on my phone of like, and especially was useful seeing all the regulars again after we reopened under Berliano. But I literally have like 100, 200 names on my phone, like of how much repeat business we had. And so I'm just thinking about like some of the best regulars we had. Dave and Crystal, who are industry people that work for Darwin restaurants for like Olive Garden, Bahama Breeze. They got married. They at one point they were stopping by like 3-4 days a week to hang out. Super sweet, tipped well, and then like they had their wedding. Which was like at the courthouse, and then like they chose us as the place, and they didn't rent out the place. They just like want to hang out at the bar, have a few friends over and their family. Really awesome people. Like love seeing them. We just could chat with them forever. Jay and Chandra, he goes hunting during the season or whatever. So like I literally have some like elk meat or something, and he's giving me like multiple pounds of like meat from his hunting because like he has a big chest freezer that he can't use. Just like so many regulars just like chat up about. That's what made this place special. Like, so I'm from New York. We're having worked in the industry before moving down to Florida. Having been done it for like I think it was about like 4 or 5 years. There's only so much repeat business, especially like when I was working in downtown Brooklyn, downtown Manhattan. There's like no regulars. I could literally think about right now when I was working around like 5 to 10 people that I would count as regulars. At my job at Sanford Brewing, it was 60 to 80% was repeat business, and we'd see your family, and we know when you had a kid because we wouldn't see you for a while, and then you'd come back with a little kid that eventually now you're actually cool with like hang out now. So now I just fucking miss it. So I need to just find a job in Maitland because I literally feel like I was part of an institution of the town, and now we're living in town. And it doesn't include like all the people like that I worked with. Garrett, I need a text. He works in the industry still, and we spend a lot of hours just chit chatting, having a beer, talking about like career stuff and kids because he's got 2 kids. Maddie didn't work out with the job, but like I as a 30-some-year-old, I never thought I'd like associate with she was in college, like 20-some-year-old, but like we had a similar humor. We it was just fun, just having a shifty after work and just chatting. Matt, I could talk to him about football. Matt, food runner, lives upstairs, and he's a nerd like me, and then Tommy, who's a nerd like me, he plays Magic the Gathering too. Troy was there literally since day one, pretty much, or literally there since day one. And we talk about Gundam and anime. I don't even know about anime, but we talk about IBO and stuff. There's so many people, and I don't think you guys understand. Like, I went to law school with like for 3 years, and I had a good friend group. We hung out all the time. I was invited to weddings and stuff. I unfortunately didn't make one, but I don't talk to those people anymore. But I don't see myself not talking. I'm going to be my entire friend group of Florida is just these people from Sanford Brewing. Even other jobs I had, I don't think of anybody really that I'm like still connected to outside of like Steve that I worked at a million years ago at a craft beer cellar. Like, but these people like I feel like are going to be attached to me as long as I live in Florida. But even then, outside of that, I still see them as people that I'm gonna have lifelong friends with. So I built to build lifelong friends is really significant. And it was not only work, but like it was the atmosphere. I literally remember doing Uber Eats after getting fired, after losing Sanford Brewing closing and driving around last year in November. And I remember just driving and being lonely and just thinking about like, I wonder how that family's doing. And that's just like a weird thought to have. Like, why the fuck should you care? But these are people like I've been taking care of for like, I'm used to seeing them every week or 2 or month for years, right? Like a lot of people. And if you wanted to consider a business that, has 70 to, again, I told you, 60-80% repeat business. And then I also count the seats in my head right now, recently. Inside was about like 55 seats. Outside was about 60. At peak, we had about 70 seats outside. So that adds up to 120. So we went from anywhere from 110 to 130 seats outside. And then for events, we go up to like 160 seats. So that's a lot of seats to have and a lot of business that we're doing. And the other thing I liked about it was that it was just financially feasible. I was doing very good. I was not maybe the top echelon of what you can make as a server, bartender, blah, blah, blah. But I was doing well. And starting in 2022-ish to recently, 22, 23, 24, I was doing well. Like, again, we're talking about like, having almost no expenses. Like, when the kids were staying at home, Katie stayed at home. My rent was $14.50, and we didn't really spend money doing anything other than going out to dinner and stuff. Like, it really, like, there was nothing, like, didn't really spend much, like, didn't really do too much. Eventually, things really hit. Like, had a car accident that cost like $1 gajillion. Bought a minivan that sucks right now that I might have to get rid of. Daycare eventually hit. So Katie eventually was, like, unable to be, stay-at-home mom anymore, and like, just, they're old enough to get into daycare, but that cost me $24,000 a year for multiple years, and that killed my, so it was lucrative and it was great, and I saved some money, but that sort of got crushed. So now I'm like trying to find back into a more comfortable, sustainable lifestyle of financials, but it was amazing. We busted ass. Like, I thought I was really good at doing this job. I thought it was fast. I thought it was, and they still call me fastest beer in town. So, I'm still fast. But I got way better at my job. I thought I was pretty, up to snuff after like 5 years or so working in the industry. But serving like that was a game changer. And so now I'm at new jobs, and like literally the back of house is somewhat around the same. I want to say that my jobs now. Maybe there's a little bit more. But really the front of house, I noticed that there's just like, we had a skinny staff. Like, just for example, like, on just a random busy night, just a regular busy night, we'd have a manager, 3 servers, and the servers would be bartenders. So that's literally just three staff. Right now, my jobs, on a busy night, we're doing 3 servers, 2 food runners, 2 bartenders, and a bar back. 8. My other job, we're doing food runner, hostess, 2 bartenders, 3 servers, and that's including managers helping out, right? So okay, there you go. So no matter how busy it gets, the restaurants I currently work at are triple or more staff. And you're like, Darwin, like, well, how does that work? I don't know. It was just an efficient restaurant. I mean, again, if I had $1 million, I would have bought that place and figured the fuck out because we were crushing. The location is so important in Maitland. It's just, there's really not much in Maitland. So like there's like 2 like within that radius, there's like a pizza place that's actually pretty nice that actually like surprised didn't steal all our business, but it's like a cheap. It's like not really a table service place you order at the counter, but there's like 2 fine dining Italian restaurants, a fancy like, seafood gastropub kind of thing, a dive bar kind of thing. But there's no like place, again, like we hit a clientele where it's like everybody around my age-ish, so late 20s to late 30s, about to have kids, maybe no kids. A lot of people had kids, and then also the jump over a generation after that. So like, people around their 50s to 60s, affluent neighborhood, and we were just so busy. Like it's just so crazy. Like, I've never worked at a place that just worked out so well. We're consistent. No matter what day it was like Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, there was no pick of how the place ran too, without too much staff. There was no pick of a quote unquote bad shift. Even your weekdays lunch were pretty good at one point. I mean, those were a little bit less good, but every Monday through Sunday night didn't matter. All good shifts, and it was just a banger. And we busted ass. And I remember like one of the Lauren, who was our hippie girl for a few years. She was our manager, assistant manager. I remember her being strong enough because, like, again, I experience-wise, I was actually lower on the totem pole despite having, like, 5 years of experience. I remember she's like, "Yeah, we gotta bust your tables." Now I feel that way at my new jobs. It just built so much strength in me. Like, we were busting. So how the job worked, by the way, instead of me rambling, was at one point, basically, you are the person. You are the bartender, the server, the busser, the hostess, the barback, everything. You do everything. Those are literally positions. Like right now at one of my jobs, there is a hostess, there is a food runner, there is a bartender, there is a server. So like if you're a server, the bartender makes your drinks, the hostess seats your table. It was seat yourself. So just seat yourself, we'll get to. Bang. So now I gotta hit tables, right? The order's drink, bang, hit the bar. I don't care if it's a fucking cocktail or beer you're pouring it. Bang. Then you're serving them. You're taking the order. Boom. Once the food comes out, boom, you're running that food. So these are all multiple positions, a lot of restaurants. We just did it all. We had a skinny staff, we had a strong-ass staff. And that was a fucking work ethic and work mentality to crush. And, if I was a business owner, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it. I'll pay you more. Like, instead of hiring more people, I'll pay you more than, right now it's like $10 an hour is tip minimum wage. But then again, you make it on tips anyway. So I maybe don't need to pay more. It's like, as long as you can swing it, I'll pay, like you're going to make the money, but you're going to have to swing it. Now I feel like, like that guy's job, he's getting paid, food runner or hostess. Like, give that to me. I'll do it. I'll do that and serve, right? Like, I just feel like a lot of times you're just waiting for somebody else to do your job versus like at the job you always had something to do. When it hit, you were busted. So you ran the food and you busted food. So you're doing a position that a lot of restaurants run: hostess, bartender, server, busser, barback. At least 5 positions. You're doing 5 jobs as one person. So instead of paying like $60 an hour, you're paying $10 an hour, right? Think about that. It's crazy. And it worked. It worked. And people just kept coming back until it got a little hairy by the end of it. Basically, the owners, we just specifically talked about Sanford Brewing. Got hairy in the sense that, again, throwing gasoline on fire. Why don't we just raise prices to, like, I remember one point we're like, okay, we raised prices, COVID happened, blah, blah. And I saw the menu at one point and I was like, no wonder we're so busy. And we're crushing it despite, selling but by the time I started, I think one of the sandwiches started at $12. It got to $20 4 years later. 4 years later. 4 years later. In 4 years, 12 to 20, I think that might have been a little much. Granted, that was a COVID menu, so maybe it was like really 14 to 20. But there's a point where I was like, okay, now we're not really like that neighborhood joint that really makes sense in sales. Like, it just got too expensive. Like, we're talking about like $7. Okay, we start at $5 beer. No, I feel like we started at $5. Yeah, for beer. I think we might have started at $5, but we went to 7. 7's okay. Okay. I think we got to 8. Anyway, 5 to 8 or somewhere like that. The beer prices were so. The food prices were a little nuts. Again, we're talking about from $14 to $20. We had to take a few jumps in food prices. Okay, I understand. And that actually, like, crazy enough, we were actually doing a little less business, but I made the same amount of money, if not more, because, again, if you raise prices by 10%, I still get tipped 20% of that. So I still get a 10% raise, if that makes any sense. So we're still there. Then it slowed down a little bit towards a good amount towards the end, where they added another bump to the prices. And then now I'm looking around menus, so like, that's probably just something you do if you work at a business. Like, oh well, what is our menu compared to another one, right? And I was like, oh, these prices are a little too hard, right? Like you're almost at the point of like, might as well go to a fine dining restaurant, but like it's not really appropriate for kids. But now I gotta bring my kids here, but also I'm paying like $18 to $20 for an entree, plus like $7-8 for beer, right? And it's not a fancy joint; it's a brew pub, right? But it still worked out. But eventually it didn't. So after 4 years, half year after that. Well, actually, more like February. Almost 8-9 months after that. So almost a full year after that, they decided to randomly close. Brulando bought it. And it took them almost 4 months to open up the place. It was so awesome to be back in the building. The regulars were back. The business was doing well. The money was pretty good. And then they fired some of my most important staff, the people that had been there for like 10 years combined. And then the regulars were like, oh, what the fuck is this place? And then they threw in a dummy to run the place. And now apparently that dummy runs both locations now, Sanford and Maitland. And apparently everybody I've spoken to like drives by is like, it's either dead or it sucks if I go by. The reviews suck. So I can't wait for the place to close. I can't wait for something else to go in there. But in the meantime, I probably should look for something else in Maitland. Because again, I just miss Maitland people. I didn't think I'd be a community guy, but I really actively miss Maitland people. And actually, I did find there's like a Maitland Facebook group or something. And I even commented like, hey, by the way, I know I took care of you guys for like 5 years here. I no longer work there anymore. If you guys have any, opportunities you can mention. I got a few texts and help from that, but it was like over 50 likes, loves, and like multiple comments. Like that means a lot, So it's not only my friends. It's actually people that I got to like meet their kids and like see them grow up and find out about their job and ask them about their, daycare and their school and talk about random shit. And I was there so much, like that building and that space feels like the back of my hand, and like it feels bad that like I basically got fired. I literally got fired where I can't even like go there and hang out, just see the space again, But it is what it is. And really, this episode is about just like moving on from it and cutting off this chapter in my life and not thinking about this job and how sentimental I'm about it, and just like enjoy my friends that I've gained from it. And move on and find something else that's just as good, if not just, more importantly, just as lucrative. Because like I did the math in my head, like in the last year, I basically made my, expected income that I sort of need to do to like, raise my family. In the last year, I've only made that income for the last 6 months, for 6 months. So half of that is either being just straight up unemployed, not making any money basically, or making like shittier money, and I've been doing that recently. So it's been a rough year, and I appreciate your donations, and I appreciate your support and all this good stuff. Again, I can't put into words, like I mentioned all these names and all these important people that are now in my life. It may be a stronger bartender server. Maybe really good at this job. Fuck me. So people ask me like, oh, what else can you do? I'm like, bro, I'm so good at this job. Like, what the fuck else do you want me to do? Like, I'm so good at it. Like my new job, they just threw me in the training as a bartender on Friday, and all I needed was the freaking little the recipe sheet. And my new manager was like really impressed. I'm like, bro, motherfucker, I've been bartending for a minute. Fucking, like. Go if you don't know what that means, that's shaking a tin and like ice in there, and that's the sound of like but maybe I should find a new career path. Maybe I need to go back to lawyering. I don't know. And even during that time, I remember I became an advanced restaurant. I would show up. So like how I study is like I would show up to. I would do so. Yeah, you got to be out of the house if you're gonna work or do something. I need to be out of the house. I can't have my computer in front of me because I'm gonna be playing Magic or be on YouTube and shit or watch movies or TV. Like I can't do it. I need to be out of the house and like in the world, like feel I'm working. So I would go into the storage section of the restaurant, take a table and like have my laptop and just study. And then eventually studied enough to become an advanced restaurant. Eventually, obviously, has not really done too much for my career yet. But I needed personally to justify everything. And it was also something to do during COVID, like study for the advanced restaurant exam. But hopefully it does affect me because like it really has not. It was a lot of hours and a lot of money spent. And it really has not beneficially affected my career that much. So, but yeah, I'm so good at my job now. And I really have Sanford Brewing to thank about that. And I have all these awesome friends. I'm so fucking happy about that. I remember working at Orlando, and I know the situation was a little rough, and I knew it wasn't going to work out. And I walked into the park across the street because it was just bare dirt when we opened. And they turned into like this fountain and shit, whatever, in the little lawn. And I walked around there. And I thought about the amount of hours that I've spent at this place and the awesome memories I have with my friends and the guests. Again, that same fucking parking lot, the same owner of the sandwich shop next door. And just, sorry, like almost every waking moment of the last like 5-6 years have just been 5 years, whatever you want to. Every waking moment has just been in that space, and I knew it was going to disappear. And not being there more sucks. But I lost my job. I guess whatever. Sanford Brewing transition, Orlando. That ended around May, so around July, end of July. I just need to cut this chapter off of my life, right? Like it is what it is. And I warned you early on. I'm a sentimental motherfucker. And I just remember walking around. I was like, I'm gonna miss this fucking place. I'm gonna miss like the atmosphere, how busy it was, the regulars, my friends. It just felt good to work there. It just felt good, and I'm gonna miss it. And I will say, I literally looked up the announcement video of when I moved down, when Amelia was born. That was like episode 2100 or something. So it's been almost 2,000 videos that have been. So literally halftime. So like the things important in my life, the YouTube channel. You know, top things I need to mention. Episode up to 2000 was in New York. 2000 to 4000 was here in Florida. And again, one of the most important things that happened in all Florida was just this job. I really should have kept more merch, like things like this. Like, and by the way, Allie's a fucking gem. I actually work with her now because like she got a new management job at and I work with her now. And she bought this Maitland 4 years, pretty much made it 5. And then I remember the mug that she bought me, which I broke, by the way, which I feel bad about. I had a 3-year mug, and I remember so many years, or sorry, not many years. I think I broke it less than a year in. But I used to have my shifties in there, right? I'm a sentimental guy, and I'm gonna fucking keep this forever. Again, I just remember that thought. Just see that fucking park. I walk around that park, and I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna fucking miss this job. I'm gonna miss this space. And even with my fuck me. Anyway. That's the first time I cried on the channel. Yeah, that's for episode 4000. You get some tears out of my dumb ass. Anyway, I'm very happy. Next week I'll be actually, that's how cool it is. Next week we actually have a big get together with like all the people I mentioned. I think Emma's gonna be there too. A bunch of people. I think some of the regulars might be there too. Shout out to regulars, man. Tom, Serge, fucking bro, so many fucking people I love. Nancy Jen. people I still have contact. It's nostalgia, but also just really affecting my life. Like, the amount of people. And financially. Oh, fuck me. I'm just scraping to figure out this shit out. Like, unless, I mean, I know I have the skills to at least find something that'll figure it out. But whether I'll get it is another issue. So I'll keep you guys posted about that. But you guys want the long episode? This is a long fucking episode. Until next time, guys. Cheers. Have a great night.